You've got 15 minutes. We've got go-to-market strategy and real talk. I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Mandy. This is Your Future Biz Unfiltered, the podcast for founders and go-to-market leaders who want to scale smarter and stay sane while doing it.
Each short episode includes a tactical takeaway, from ICPs to poopy pipelines to LinkedIn DMs that don't suck.
In other words, this isn't your podcast ran by sales bros in Patagonia vests. This is Your Future Biz Unfiltered.
Your energy leads the interaction. People don't just respond to what you say, they respond to how you show up. And so if you're chasing, pushing, or trying to close, it creates resistance. If you're genuinely curious, clear, focused on value, that would build trust. Buyers can smell desperation. They can also feel confidence. And this is why two people can say the exact same words and get completely different results. You can have the best playbooks, tools, and scripts, but if your energy is off, none of it lands. In today's episode, we're talking about the one thing that makes or breaks every DM, every post, every cold message. It's your mindset. Running a successful and sustainable business is as much about your mindset as it is about process and strategy. People don't just respond to what you say, they respond to how you show up. And this is why two people can say the exact same words and get completely different results. That's the part no one talks about enough, so we're going there today. I'm your co-host, Lindsay Rios, your favorite fractional CRO and go-to-market leader.
And I am your other co-host, Mandy McEwen, founder and CEO of Mod Girl and Luminetics. Okay, I love this topic, considering it literally is make or break everything. And it's not just about go-to-market, it's literally your entire business, whether you're a founder or part of a founding member team or part of an established company, it doesn't matter. If your mindset is shite, then good luck accomplishing everything that we are talking about on this podcast.
Right.
And I am a 15-year founder, and it is not easy. Being a business owner is the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. And it's not for everyone, right?
Yeah.
Like entrepreneurship is not for everyone. It's definitely a roller coaster ride and you have to be prepared. But if you do not have the right mindset, you will not succeed and have a sustainable business. And it's okay to feel like shite sometimes and not have the go positive mindset. We all do that. Like, we're human beings. It's okay to feel down and stressed and depressed sometimes. That is normal. But you really have to focus on what are you saying to yourself? What are you saying to your team? How is your message coming across? How are you talking to people publicly? How are you talking to people behind the scenes? And what do you genuinely believe deep down to your core?
Right.
Because how you believe is going to come out. Even if you're trying to lie, people see right through it. Energy is everything. So you could say one thing, just like you just mentioned, and it comes out completely different because you genuinely don't believe that, or it's coming out completely different than what you're trying to say because deep to your core, you don't believe it. And it's not just like customer facing stuff. We're even talking about with your team. So this really boils down to everything.
Yeah. And the other thing that we touched a little bit on, this is really for people that are obviously trying to be a founder, but even, just like people who are in a sales position or any, IC role, but especially performance-based roles.
Yes.
Mindset is huge. And the way that you show up, the way that you speak and your demeanor, like, it just makes a big difference. And I remember even when I was at my first tech company as an AE, I had, I think like a couple kind of crap months, like not terrible, but just not good. And I was very used to being a top performer. And you start obviously getting stressed and feeling desperate, and it just like snowballs in the worst way ever. Sometimes you get lucky and you kind of stop caring. And then when you stopped caring about the results, quote unquote, things started doing well again. I've seen this happen so much. And I remember my director of sales at the time had said something like, yeah, when you stop caring, it's kind of like the universe like gives you back some, throws you a bone. And I was like, I hate how that's so right.
It really is. And really, ICs is individual control. It's entrepreneurship. I mean, you're kind of like feast or famine. Like, it really is, it's like the same, but this goes back to like the manifesting thing, right? Like, if you're constantly like, I'm shitty, I must be doing something wrong, like nothing is working, then you're going to manifest that. If you're doing the opposite and you're trying to stay positive and everything is a learning lesson. And I know this is like easier said than done, but this really is all about energy and what you're putting out to the universe and what the universe is getting back. And just like you mentioned, like when you stopped caring, you're like, oh, I'm just going to go in and enjoy my life, be happy, and things happen versus stressing out about it all the time.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I've only been into the, solopreneur life for a little more than a year and a half. And there are some days where I change my mind every 5 minutes about how I feel about it. I'm like, this is great and I'm never going back. And then it's literally like 5 minutes later, I have to go back to full time. I can't do this anymore. Like it's normal. But the mindset is what gives you the long-term ability to continue to push through and stay true to what it is that maybe you really want. And I was talking with this awesome woman who's a fractional leader. She's been doing it for like going on 4 years. And she had reached out to me just to like network chat and all of that. She's been being asked by some companies she used to work for full time to come back full time. And they're very like, we'll do anything you want, pay you whatever you want, that kind of approach. And here she is, she's got a young toddler and she's thinking like, should I do that? Like, I feel like I should do that. But after she had told me about some of the other things that she loved about what she's been able to do in the last 4 years, I was like, I know you haven't explicitly said these words to me, but what I'm hearing is that you absolutely do not want to do that. Go back full time. She goes, I don't. I said, what's happening is you are being tricked by the facade of stability that full-time role would give you because you have a young child, and you're guilting yourself thinking that is the smarter move because it's supposed to supposedly be more stable. And she went, oh my God, you're right. It is the facade. So I have to do the same thing. For my mindset is I will have to be like, you know what? That's not real. That's a facade. The reason why I'm loving what I'm doing most of the time is because of what it's giving to me for my bigger overarching goals in my life and my family and my business and all of that. So I think mindset too has so much to do with ground yourself back to what it is you decided that's most important to you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. My friend and amazing mentor, coach, and author, Richie Norton, has a book that's called Anti-Time Management. It's life-changing. If y'all haven't heard of it or read it, go read it. It's epic. But he talks about, which is very appropriate for me, considering the last 4 years, I'm a nomad now. And it's all about like work from your dream. Like start now. Don't wait. Because here's what happens is we in these types of roles we're talking about, revenue roles and entrepreneurship, we think we just work. We get to a certain point, then we can achieve our dreams. Then we can travel the world. He's like, nah, dog. That's not how it works. You build the castle first, then you build the moat. And so you put yourself in a situation where you're living it now. You're not waiting, because what happens is we get 70 years old and we look back and we're like, shit, what did I do all those years? I fucking worked. Like that's all I did was worked and made money. And now I'm old and I've got a bad knee and I can't travel Europe for 4 months like I do now at the age I am. Right.
Well,
and so it's like,
even my hairdresser on Friday, I told her that, Lou really wants to go to Puerto Rico this year. And I'm thinking like, God, we don't even have half the year left, And I'm like, well, and she just went, life's too short. Go to Puerto Rico. This woman is nearly 70. She loves traveling, right? And she's just like, go to Puerto Rico. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's like we can build our life and systems and business around our priorities, and then things fall into place. It's not the opposite. We're not going to sacrifice spending time with our family and all the things that are important to us because society told us that we have to work our ass off for 50 plus years and then we can enjoy life how we want. Like, I mean, we might all get blown up tomorrow, really. We don't we don't really know.
But really though.
But really, the way things are going in the world right now, nothing is promised, right? So going back to mindset, when you guys, however your values are, this also, like, we could go on and on about these things in business and like setting the core values and stuff, but your team is going to radiate off of whatever energy you're giving out. Yep. Okay. So we're not even talking about like public facing prospecting and customer journeys and all that stuff we talk about. I'm literally talking about like inside your team. You know this. We all know this. We've worked for leaders who have shitty energy. They are negative Nancy's. They bring people down, and maybe they don't see the positive things, right? So you really have to think about the words that are coming out of your mouth, how your energy is, how you are showing up every single day, and what you are telling yourself and then what you're telling other people, because it really, really matters when you are in a company and you're a leader and you have people below you, because they're going to follow that. And one of the best ways to get an underperforming team is to have a shitty attitude and shitty energy.
Yep.
And not be someone that's uplifting and positive and supportive. And so it's really important that you get those right and you're telling yourself positive things too, because it's just like in relationships, like if we go like the relationship psychology, you have to love yourself before you can love someone else. It's true though in business. It's so true if you think about it.
Also, for people who are really pragmatic like I am and have a hard time with being good about like mindset, like tactics on a continued basis, a good way to like incentivize yourself to focus and prioritize your mindset is your ability to make executive decisions, and the way that you react will be drastically better if you work on your mindset consistent. So you will be better at your role, period, from a more practical standpoint if you do this. And so if that's not enough to incentivize you to prioritize your mindset work, then don't listen to us anymore.
No, I love that you said that, because one of the things too with leaders is we are all in control of our thoughts and our emotions. We can control that. We can't control fires that happen that we have to put out as leaders. Shit's going to happen and it is out of your control. What is in your control is how you handle it.
Yep.
So I love that you said that, because we've all worked for leaders that something goes wrong and they freak the fuck out.
And then everyone else is going to freak the fuck out.
And then everyone else is going to freak out. And then it's going to be even worse than it is before. So working on controlling, if you're an emotional, reactive person, if you're an intense person, which I can be sometimes, I've had to work on this myself, really working on your thoughts and your emotions and how you handle certain things is going to be hugely impactful for having a successful team and really a successful business in the long run.
Yeah. And it just helps keep you, like I said, earlier, this whole thing, if you can get back to the why of what you're doing long term, it helps keep you motivated to get through the really shitty valleys and the peaks and valleys of this, this journey. But let's talk a little bit more about specific things that have worked for either you and I that like fills our mindset cup.
Yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned the why. I was actually going to say that next is whenever you're having a down day or feeling like crap and frustrated, always go back to like, why are you doing this? And think about all the people that need you and the lives that you're changing. Even if you have a random SaaS product that you think doesn't matter, think about all the use cases and why you built it in the first place, why you decided to work for this company in the first place. Like you actually are making a difference and you are helping people. And so you have to remember why you're doing what you're doing. And that really does help, because I think sometimes we lose side of that because there's just so much going on. And then we also don't give ourselves enough credit, that's another thing, is like celebrating those little tiny wins, which is going to be a takeaway we give you guys, is just writing down and celebrating those itty bitty wins. Even if they seem really minuscule, they are important. And it's a psychology factor here. It's like our brain is getting used to celebrating little wins. So it's preparing for the big wins because you're already setting it up for success.
Yeah. Yep. And I also think that we'll talk a little bit about this too in a second, but it's got to be in a way that works for you, So, I am, like I said, I'm really pragmatic. I'm really practical. I'm very very into being realistic, but I'm also really bad with emotions. I don't like them. Keep them to yourself. And,
I don't like them.
No, I'm kidding. Actually, I'm really good with other people's, being able to help them with their emotions, but I don't want to do them. So mindset stuff for me sometimes can kind of be something I don't adopt well, because it's very emotion-y and feelingsy. And I'm, what are you grateful for today? And I'm like, what? Gross, get away from me. I don't want to talk about that. And affirmations, I'm literally the worst person to ever do them, because then I'm supposed to tell myself something, compliment myself, essentially. Absolutely not going to happen. So, but I still got to work on it in some way. So it can be that, if that's your jam and the affirmations, and that's how you, receive the ability to support your mindset, then do that. So you don't have to do either of the tips, that Mandy and I say, but do the ones that work for you.
Yeah. And I do, I'm big on gratitude. And so every night before I go to bed, I say 3 things that I'm grateful for that happened either that day or recently. It could even be as simple as I'm grateful I woke up. healthy today and I can walk and I am a healthy human being. Like it doesn't have to be anything crazy, but it could be something. I'm grateful for that prospect that I landed today in my LinkedIn inbox. Like something really simple, but it's just getting our habit in the mind of positivity and being grateful and expressing gratitude. I'm grateful for my family. Like there's so many different ways you can do this, but it literally takes 2 seconds before like I'm in bed kind of meditating, right? And doing this, but affirmations are huge too. I actually have a whole like Google Doc. I'm a little bit more woo than Lindsay here. I'm all about my meditating and connecting to source and all the things. I could go on. I could have a whole podcast on this, but I have a whole thing on incantations and affirmations, and I don't do it as much as I used to, but one is gratitude and just in accepting the abundance that you already have, because then you attract more. So I'm so grateful for the abundance that comes to me easily and effortlessly every single day on a consistent basis. Like that's a very simple affirmation, but if you believe it and you say it and you genuinely believe it, then guess what? More abundance is going to come your way. But if you're thinking, oh, my life is terrible, nothing ever works for me, everything goes wrong, you're literally attracting that energy and shit's going to keep going wrong. Like this is how the universe works. I don't care what you believe in. Like there's things that just, this is how it is.
This is just how it is. I think there's a couple different ways that you can say that. One of my favorite ones is you will find whatever you look for. That I believe to my core. Yep. So it's like, if you look for crap, you'll find it. Absolutely. And if you look for good, you can find it. And this is what helps me a lot, even just in life when literally the world is like a dumpster fire for years now. But yet I still feel pretty good about things because I will find what I look for. And so that leads me to another just overall thing. Mindset will come also from what you surround yourself with, the people that you surround yourself with. So
important.
If you surround yourself with other people who think everything sucks, then great, you're going to find more of that. And it's part of why I don't watch the news, because I don't want to see a bunch of shit that happens on the news and that makes me feel like crap. And I don't want to do that. Important things still come my way. Don't worry. Okay. But I think that's a big part of when we talk about mindset. Not only do you have to do your own work, and then you surround yourself with other people so that when you're having a hard time with that mindset, they lift you up when you need them.
They don't tear you down, you know? Yeah. It's like, and that's the thing is like, you have to surround yourself with people that make you a better person. And if you have toxic people in your life, like they got to go.
They got to go.
Especially with the roles that we're in, you know, and the people that are listening to this right now, we're all trying to do big things in life and it will bring you down. Right. And it's like, what do they say? Misery loves company.
Sure do. Yeah, it's actually, I mean, when we talk about this, I mean, I might not be as wooey, but your girl was a cog sci major, right? So when we talk about the psychology of it, when people are in pain and they don't know how to deal with that in a healthy way, one of the ways that they'll try to think they're fixing their pain is by bringing people down to their level of pain instead of the opposite. So you have to be careful, even down to literally what you allow in your LinkedIn feed.
Yeah, so true.
I cannot tell people enough times. I'm like, anytime something shows up in my feed and I'm like, that doesn't belong in my values. I don't like it. Gross. Bye. Immediately. And people don't do it enough. And then they talk about how it makes them feel so crappy being on LinkedIn. Yeah. Remove the crap.
Like, you can control it. They bitch all the time. Like, I'm tired of seeing political posts. I go, I haven't seen a political post and I don't even know how long. I don't allow that in my feed. Get rid of it. It's really easy.
So it's a lot harder to do that with certain people in your life, like maybe family or
obviously.
So not only do the work to know your why, your bigger things for what you're striving towards. The other thing you said in the beginning where you're like, how did you word it?
What? Live your dream life now.
Right.
Don't wait.
Do it now.
You know, build the castle, then build the moat. And one more thing too, that's important before we wrap up here is the concept of fear. And in order to be successful in the roles that we are all in right now, we have to be fearless to a certain degree. And so I was reading an article the other day from Richard Branson, and he talks about protecting the downside and how people think that he's crazy. And one of the things he talks about is protecting the downside. And what that means is he plans for the worst case scenario. So he was saying that even his best advisors were telling him he's an idiot and a psycho for wanting to launch an airline company.
Oh, what's
Virgin Atlantic Airlines. Yeah, completely crazy. And he was like, the only reason I was able to do this and be fearless is because I protected the downside, meaning I planned for the worst case scenario that could possibly happen. And I already had it mapped out in my head. And the article was like, Elon Musk is the same way. So these massive entrepreneurs and right now in the world that are making big things happen, they are literally fearless because they are thinking about the worst case scenario, which makes them more fearless because they're like, oh, well, I've got this. If shit, blows up, which literally,
for it.
I have a plan.
Yeah.
Like literally Elon stuff is blowing up. Like his rockets are literally blowing up. But he has a plan. He's like,
oh, plan. He feels fine. Whether it's good or not, he has a plan, right? I know. I mean, that's the same. I mean, if we bring that down to like the basic things in our everyday, because maybe we can't relate to that. It's the same reason why we tell people in sales and, founders, it's like, well, the worst thing that's going to happen if you ask someone if they want to talk to you or buy your product or any of that is no. That's literally the worst thing that's going to happen. So if that's the worst thing, then great.
What do you have to lose? Like
even more,
we can all handle rejection. We're in revenue roles. Like we're used to getting rejected. So,
and if possible, when we talk about making a plan, you should plan for no's because that's literally part of it. So therefore it's actually successful that you get a no, because actually what we're hoping for is an answer, period. That's the goal. And so if you plan for the no's, then it's just, okay, great. And then, you can go for the yeses, and then you can talk about, well, what happens if I get this many yeses versus this many no's, and I think that that's a great way to handle a lot of things. I think there's a bit of a cathartic thing that happens when you also just take a moment to think about like what would happen in the worst case scenario. I mean, there's this like, I think it was in This Is Us, and there's like a couple in there, and when they were like really stressed out about something, I think they called it like, let's play worst case scenario. And both of them just like word vomit to each other literally what's going on in their head about what's the worst like thing that can happen in this scenario. One, they realize how almost ridiculous it is what they said. So like like saying it out loud and saying it to the other person, it makes them go, okay, that's really extreme. And that's like not going to happen. It feels good getting it out. And then I love the idea of what Richard Branson says, like, but if it does, then what are we going to do about it?
Exactly. And there is like an element, like as you're saying this, Lindsay, I'm like thinking about past relationships and how like no names given here would like think of the worst case scenario on something so little that shouldn't be thought about. So when we're saying this, you guys, we're not saying like overthink everything. Like we're talking about big picture here. Right. Okay. We're not talking about every little thing you need to overthink and think that something is going to blow up and go wrong. That is not what we're saying. I want to just be crystal clear on this.
Right.
Because that's actually a detriment. We're talking about big picture. You're doing something big. You're launching something. Like we're talking those types of scenarios. We're not talking about little tiny things and overthinking about the worst things that could happen. That is a terrible use of time and not healthy.
Absolutely don't do that. That's called anxiety, and that's a real thing that a lot of us deal with. But there's a whole song about it nowadays. But
I was just I'm singing the song in my head right now.
But if you have the week where you couldn't get a single person to even like get a meeting with you, or you had a lot of customers churn this month, or you didn't hit the target, like this is where your mindset's going to keep you going.
Absolutely. Yep. And obviously we could talk about this all day, but we need to wrap it up and give people some takeaways here. This is very important though, you guys. There's plenty of things you can read. You just sit in silence and meditate and think about all the amazing things in your life and how you're grateful and why you do what you do every day. Like that enough is good, but we'll leave you with some practical takeaways here. Lindsay, what do you think?
So this is really good if you just want something very actionable and you can just do, and it's just every day, write down 3 things you did well, which is something you said earlier. But I think people have to remember just how small it can be. It's like, did you post on LinkedIn today? Like, did you just show up? That's a win. Doesn't matter how it did, just you did something on LinkedIn that contributed to your business, your brand. You didn't quit today. That's actually big. But like, we don't give ourselves enough credit, especially when we're building a business, that we kept going another day. So it can be something like that. Or I sent a cold message and I've never done it before. Win, right? So just those things, I think that's a really, really good one. And I've been hearing people do this where they keep like a place where like their own kind of wall of love or something of these moments. And they go back to them when they need to. So you're having that shit day, go look at all these wins you've done.
Go back to your wins.
Yeah.
And talk nice to yourself.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, if you want, you could also write down things that you're amazing at on a sheet and go back and revisit those, like there's so many things, but I'm going to stick with the 3 here. Since you said 3, I'm going to stick with 3 too. And I already mentioned this, but saying 3 things you're grateful for every single day. Really simple. So Lindsay's is 3 wins, 3 little wins, 3 big wins, doesn't matter, just 3 wins in general. And mine is 3 things that you're grateful for, which can be anything. And you guys can literally do this in 2 minutes a day. So you have no excuse.
And if you're really bad about the daily ones, because I'm actually really bad about it, what I started doing a couple months, maybe like 3 months ago now, is I started just doing it weekly. And I started doing it like either the beginning of like a Monday or even on like a Sunday. So kind of like either rounding out the end of or start of my week. And I reflect back on the last 7 days and I call it my 7 loves. And it's really cute because there's a lot of other people on LinkedIn now that see it and they go, I'm going to start doing it. And they do their 7 loves. So
I know, I love it.
Your 7 loves, I just go back and I think sometimes I have to actually look at my calendar to remind myself of what happened in the last 7 days.
Yeah.
And I just choose 7 things that brought me joy. And I write it down and I post about it on LinkedIn. And it's cathartic to do. It makes me sit down for a moment and intentionally remember things that brought me joy in the last week. And then just writing it out, I finally recognized how much I enjoy writing just in general. And then I share it. And now it's like a diary entry for me to go back and see these things too. So if like an everyday thing is not good for you, I'm actually horrific at daily routines, then like, I think this is a good way to start.
Yeah, I love that. And I love your post you have. It's a nice positive splash on LinkedIn, which
nice
sometimes
feel
is
good.
crazy.
Which, again, if you want to have some stuff that feels good in your feed, then you follow me because I don't post
exactly
stuff.
For sure. Okay, so those are your tactical takeaways.
Yep.
And if you guys like this episode, let us know. We can do more. I know this is a little longer one, but it's important. It's super important because if you don't have the right mindset, nothing that we talk about, strategy, tactics, it's not going to work. And sustainably, it's not going to work. It might work for a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's not sustainable. So this is really, really important.
It is.
And I think this is the final episode.
This is our final episode of our first season together.
Season number 1 is now a wrap. So thank you guys for listening. And we would love your feedback. And obviously your review.
Oh, yeah.
We should say like
please give us 5 stars and whatever.
I was just going to say, we're so terrible. I don't even know what they say. What do they say? It's like and subscribe is YouTube.
Subscribe? Is that
is YouTube? This will be on YouTube. Like, subscribe, smash the, what do I say? Smash the whatever button.
I don't know.
And give us a 5-star review.
Sure.
And just tell us what you think. Send us a LinkedIn message too while you're at it.
Yeah.
And stay tuned. So what are we talking about in season 2?
Okay, season 2.
A lot.
So if you guys had not picked up, we actually have kind of been starting from the start of that customer journey, like that map that we told you to build, like conception of building a business and kind of walking through how it builds upon. So next season, we're going to talk a little bit about now that you've been selling, now that you have some kind of go-to-market motion, what you need to start thinking about with your outreach and your selling motion, and also a lot of good LinkedIn stuff about how you need to present yourself on LinkedIn. And we'll even get a little bit into like when you should start saying no now in your business. You know, you get enough business that you can start to say, nope, I will not be working with you. So come along, stay tuned. And
we got lots. We even have some guests. We have a special guest.
Oh, yes, we'll have some guests for the first time. Yes.
Yes. So we'll start to introduce guests in season 2. We're going to be talking about literally all things outbound, cold email, cold call, lots of LinkedIn. I could talk about LinkedIn for days here. And like she mentioned, when to say no, rev ops, when to bring that in for first-time founders. There's a lot we're talking about in season 2. So stay tuned. And if you guys have any suggestions on other
requests,
requests, let us know.
Okay, we'll see you guys later.
Thanks for going along.
Okay, now go build something cool. If you like what you hear, or at least didn't hate it, hit that follow or subscribe button so you don't miss an episode. And if you didn't know, this is a video podcast too. So if you want to see our lovely faces, go check us out on YouTube and subscribe there. And just like that, another business problem got a little bit clearer, because in the business world, it's not about who raises first. It's about who lasts.